I'm excited to learn everything you're doing and the research that's going on, and just wanted to know a lot about the community that's going on in Phoenix as well. I know that y'all guys are going through a lot with the corona, and everybody is in the whole world, and especially you guys are our heroes.
Yeah, well, no, thank you for the comment, and really, there's people that are at the front lines that are true heroes. Um, Fortunately, in the state of Arizona and in the valley, we haven't seen the massive numbers that they have seen out in the East Coast, right? But we still take this very, very seriously. We want to make sure everyone is safe, and it is important that the work that everyone does contributes in one way or another. Just yesterday I was thinking, boy, this is something that everyone can contribute with something. Whether it's because you're healthcare, you're a first responder, maybe you're the person who delivers the goods that we get in our home that have kept our lives
Sure.
going, someone who gives support, etc. So everyone has something to give, but we got to stay safe. This is a very
For
important.
sure. For sure. A lot of things like they say in the media outlet, is it true with like washing your hands and like all the little hygiene things that you're normally supposed to do would help you out and staying protected on the corona?
Yes, they do. And this is something that we're learning on the go, if you may. So every day there's new information. From what we know, it is that if someone gets infected, then the virus just builds in their body and replicates, and then they start shedding it out. And classically,
Um,
cough, your sneeze, or any part of the body fluid of a person goes out, from the respiratory side, can infect. So the way to protect yourself, of course, is being very careful, doing the hand wash. I guess the thought is, if there was some virus and someone depositing the virus in the surface, and then you were to put the hands back into your face, your mouth, you could get infected with that. And certainly, we want people who are potentially infected to call their doctors, right? So they need to go under a process of quarantine where they're not going to be in a position to infect others.
okay, that's great. How is Phoenix doing in general? You explained it a little earlier. I just
Sure.
wanted to know a little more since I'm here and I live here. Um, and I just wanted to know just more about how is Phoenix doing? Like how are we in every state and etc.
So Phoenix is doing well. Like I said, we don't the fact that we're doing well, we don't take it as a way of relaxing and say, "Oh boy, this is over." No, we have to be very careful. The numbers so far have been such that the hospitals are doing okay. The hospitals are taking care of these patients. There's coordination, so the hospitals are on the phone all the time, talking to each other as far as the management and where they are with utilization. So we're doing well in that regard. We're keeping our fingers crossed. Now we don't know this for sure, but we're keeping our fingers crossed that the heat that we sometimes don't like in the summer might be our friend as the next weeks go on, right?
Oh, okay.
Most viruses don't like the excessive heat. They don't survive as easily. So maybe that's going to help a little bit. We don't know for sure.
Okay, so the heat. So then that means what I'm getting from what you're saying to me is that since Phoenix is one of the hottest states, isn't
Yeah.
it? And so that means that we should be okay. But I'm still praying for a lot of people and everywhere else. And I'm from New York, so it's bad in New York. And I have a lot of friends and family who are having to deal with this. And I just really wanted to know deeper into more what it is about and what we can do to protect ourselves and to help our neighbor.
And I was gonna ask you precisely. I know you're originally from New York, but I was gonna ask you about families and friends. One of the differences here in Phoenix is that not as many people use public transportation. Obviously, New York, you have Queens and the Bronx and Brooklyn, and everyone gets in the subways, and that just naturally creates more proximity. So it's not hard to imagine. Someone is sick and then they start coughing. More people got infected. I think probably that played a factor. And,
Hmm.
certain communities are more affected with this. People who more frequently would use subway transportation and the buses were more affected. We've seen some other places in the East Coast as well too. New Jersey has seen some
Hmm.
of this. But how are you holding up with that too? If you don't mind me asking, with family and friends, where how are they doing?
Doing a lot. You get a little scares here and there because people go through. Even though the corona's still going on, there's still other diseases that are going on as well.
Mhm.
So everybody's. I think that all of my family members was so worried about the corona that they wasn't thinking it could be anything else, like, oh, if they were coughing a little bit, like a little cold, or the allergy, since spring is coming around, the allergies and little stuff like that makes it, like, your brain is a powerful thing, and it can mess with you. So I think that, like, for us realizing and knowing more about it, and to know that the symptoms behind it, and to know how it is gonna how it goes through, is better for us to know, so nobody would panic, because everybody panics because they don't know. So
Yeah, I think information is key here, and we need to, we need to disseminate that. You're doing that obviously today, and with your public presence is very, very important, so people know what to do. I think we really want people to be very cautious. We already talked about the fact that if you're sick, call your doctor. You've all heard, let's keep the social distancing. We wash our hands. I think a key aspect that has really come to the forefront over the last several weeks has been the universal, use of the masks, because of not even to protect you. I mean, you see a lot of discussion about whether masks can protect you from the, viruses or not, but just to protect others, because if you were to not know and cough, then it's less likely that you would spread the virus.
hmm for sure. And we talked a lot about this coronavirus stuff, and just talk regular talk, because I actually just want to get to know you, doctor. And just what your sport do you think? I mean, not think, but do you like the most?
This is gonna sound like this was planned for this interview, but let me tell you a little of myself. So I grew up in Mexico, and in Mexico, there's one sport, and that is soccer. And if you're not 95 percentile soccer players, you're into arts and crafts. I was like 94, so I was barely aspiring to make the B squad.
Mm. So how did you feel about growing up in Mexico? Because I've not, no offense, but I didn't know that you grew up in Mexico. So
Hey, no,
that's crazy.
I still have a lot of family and friends, and everyone enjoys. But fortunately, so the sports horizons have greatly expanded in Mexico. As you know, there's a growing interest in football and in basketball as well too.
Mhm.
And what I was going to tell you is I tend to go deeply into whatever my kids are playing. So I have a son who's 23. He's in law school. He used to play baseball. So that moment I started loving baseball, and guess what? My 16-year-old who's in high school plays basketball, and
Wow.
awesome games. So I so miss being able to be out there with the parents and the other kids, and
hmm
obviously I know that you obviously are just getting started in what will
Yeah.
be a very successful career, but it must be disappointing too as well to be facing a career in this particular time when there will be time for this, but there's nothing like the excitement of being there in the arena. Correct?
Yeah, it is. It's just I'm just how I play, and just how I take the game. I'm so passionate in it, and I really believe in myself to the fullest extent. And it's just that I just like to play hard, and I try to do my best on the court, and just show that I belong there. And when I keep that mindset and keep the sponge mindset of learning, is just the endless of what I feel like I can do in my life.
I've heard that from other players that excel like you do that. They really take every single play counts, right? It's like if you're a golfer, if you're Tiger Woods, every time you're swinging the golf club, it matters. It turns out that that's the same teaching I have when we were with residents or medical students.
hmm
Every time we walk into an office where there is a patient, it's kind of like a final exam. You just
Yeah.
have to do your best. There's no,
Mhm.
well, this play didn't matter, and that's really the only path to success. So I think we can learn a lot from sports as well in that regard.
For sure, for sure. I know you've been really busy during this coronavirus thing. But have you especially have ever looked at, like, Michael Jordan thing that has been going on?
How I look at, oh, I'm sorry, can you
The
hear?
Michael Jordan episodes that has been going on.
Oh, I only seen a very small part of it, but I'm looking forward to it
Yeah.
because I grew up in the time where it was just a total phenomena. What are your thoughts in that regard? We're splurging on sort of all the Netflix time.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
What are your
okay.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I understand. It's different because I'm a basketball player, so I looked at it in a different way. I try to look at everything I watch and try to get the message from it. And Michael Jordan, he was very passionate, and I see a little bit of some things that I can add in myself that from him, and that are characteristics. And I try to do that with everybody that I meet. And just by our conversation right now, I see that you're a very smart guy, and you're a very smart man, and doctor, of course. So you have a lot to handle, and it's just amazing to talk to a guy like you that it has to be doesn't get the recognition like guys do, that are in the spotlight, but you deserve it. And I
Oh no,
appreciate
thank
that.
you. Thank you for your comments. And and at this point in my career, where I try to help with whatever we can. So I can tell you, we're of course talking about the safety, but we're working as well too with finding new drugs, right? So clinical trials. In my profession in medicine, I actually specialize in cancer management. So I'm an oncologist, hematology oncologist. I deal with a condition called myeloma, multiple myeloma. But one of the things we have found is that a lot of the doctors that have dealt with cancer are very much involved in the clinical trials related to COVID. Because we just, as oncologists, we have to believe there's a brighter future, right? So every day we think this is not good enough. So we actually have been working very closely with our colleagues, the infectious disease doctors, and looking at drugs. In fact, myself, I think I have been involved in some efforts. We're trying to launch a larger state clinical trial here. We're working with the FDA and trying to get approval for something like that to move forward in the state. And the reality is, as I said at the beginning, everyone has something to contribute, no matter what. So I think what's really inspiring in this time, despite obviously the dark nature of what we're living and the tremendous hardship that these places and families that are being affected and families that lose loved ones, and that humans come together and we can do things better when we're together.
For sure. I appreciate that. And it's a really good note that I'm gonna take with me. And just with anything in life, I feel that you can, with sports or anything, you can use it into life. Like with my basketball and that I've been playing through my life has prepared me for life beyond basketball, and to create relationships, to be able to talk to people, to be able to help people. And that's the position I want to be in, and that I believe that I could help people in the world. And that's the bigger goal, because basketball is a short-term thing, and you work hard and you do what you got to do and help everybody around you. But the bigger goal is to help everybody else, and that's
Of
what I
course,
believe.
there's so much character building and discipline that comes from participating in the sport, and perhaps even more so as you go through the ladder and you reach the levels of excellence of people in the NBA. So I think what you do serves as teaching, and there's so many lessons for everyone in doing that. I was going to ask you for a shout out for the Jones Gordon's Academy Jaguars. Go Jaguars! They're the basketball.
Go Jaguars! Go Jaguars! Go Jaguars! Matter of fact, where does he play?
Well, so my son has been playing for the last year. It's a small school, the Jones Gordon Academy, and that's where they play. It's such a beautiful sport, and you don't appreciate how physical those kids have to be, which is the other benefit of sports, and particularly of basketball.
Yeah. After this Corona thing, resolves and the world gets back to how it is, how else to say I give you an offer of coming to one of your son's games?
That would be awesome. Well, you're very generous. I can only look forward to that, and we'll keep in communication.
I'll hold myself to that promise, and you hold me up to it as well.
Of course. Thank you.